Here we are, everyone, a new month ahead and saying goodbye to another month. And I'm here excited because I'm here excited. I am excited because Chiron Yeng is in the house. Welcome, Chiron.
Hi, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. So it's the end of my day, the beginning of your morning. So it's going to be a really fun episode. And we had a little challenge with our timing. So I think it's a little indication of some energies we're going to be sharing about coming into March and some new things that are shifting and moving around, right?
Yeah, completely. I mean, a lot of planets are going to the sign of Pisces, and sometimes there are things that is beyond our control and beyond our understanding
Mm.
that is entering our human experience right now, and not just going to with the flow because there is some level of adaptability and that needs to be there. It's a co-creation moment.
Hmm. Right. And so, what we'd like to do in this episode, and I'll just share, if in case this is your first time watching this episode or listening on the audio, this is an episode where I share about an energy calendar that Tom and I work with through the Wayshores College. And it has different types of energies that flow throughout the days of the month. And I'll be sharing that. And also you can gather a copy for yourself at the bottom of the show notes. You can get your free copy of the month. And so you can get it. And actually what I do is I mark along. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get out my pen right now and mark along as Chiron shares what astrological transits are happening throughout the month. So it's a really powerful episode and actually my favorite episode of the month because it really gives an indication of what energies are going to be moving in and out and what transits are we going to be working with. And it's a really good collaboration that we've noticed the last couple months we've been doing this. I guess about maybe 5 or 6 months now we've been doing this.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's the really cool thing I think about is that we really recognize that there is definitely, in the different variations of things we work with, this calendar and then also astrology, that it all comes together in a really cool way. Right, Chiron?
Completely.
Completely. So we usually do is go back to the month we're exiting, which is February, and we kind of just regroup a little bit about what we noticed for that month and the energy. So the energy or the key word of last month was seek, Seek. And so would you like to share anything that stood out to you for experiences or any energy stuff that happened for you during the month?
It was a game changer month for me personally. I'm humbled by life, you know? I mean, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and someone who had a chronic health condition to juggle, it's always unpredictable, but this month is especially unpredictable for me because like I had some really bad health scare. I won't say health scare, like I have to go to the hospital and stuff like that, but it's more like the chronic inflammation got so bad and I did everything that I knew that supposed to work did not work.
Mm.
And because of that, you know, I am humbled by the fact that I have no control over my business or my health. And that's scary for anybody who is in the same position, right? And and that, you know, showed me that there are blind spots, right? And one of the blind spots that I've discovered for myself is this feeling of like, oh, wait a minute, my life, my health, my business is not under my control whatsoever. Never. It has never been. And this is where the letting go, I think it's like a, you know, a precursor or like a prologue to what's coming in March. Because there's a lot of surrendering, riding the wave, and recalling the simplicity of life. So one of the greatest insight that I have is, yeah, you know, we can work towards something, plan it out, figure it out, hustle it out, make it work. Sometimes we need to be in that zone, in that level of like intensity. But in the end of the day, if you're not enjoying what you do, you're not gonna sustain what you're doing. You're not gonna enjoy, you know, the life that you're gonna be building. So I've learned the hard lesson, and one of the recent question I keep asking myself, okay, I'm in this situation right now. How can I love this? How can I have more joy in the moment? Because joy is not something you attain. It's not an outcome. It's a state of being. It's a state of consciousness that you can tap into. And to me, how I get there is gratitude.
Lovely. And what a powerful month. And so for myself, it was definitely a month of exposing things at a deeper level. And I'll say that in a way of my sensitivity. So I recognized and recognize this in others also that there was definitely I want to say like a leveling up And so for myself, I recognized that it was almost like as if tearing the bandages off of my sensitivity. And so I am now at this point, I am still in the process of feeling more in the sense of energies, also smells. I became so heightened and so sensitive this month that at some point it was almost unbearable, honestly. And so I recognize, and I want to say the word humble like you too, Chiron, because I recognize that it brought forth in myself a humbling for my journey, but also a humbling for many of the millions of people that don't know anything about this part of them. And the recognition that how sensitive we all are as souls and physical bodies, and that being affected by the sense, all the senses that we all, go through and endure every day. So that was really my big exploration during this month. And it was very challenging at times because again, I didn't know what to do with this fact that I could smell on a level that I was being energy, felt the energy on a level that I had never felt before. So that's what I experienced. And that was interesting, the word seek. So it was kind of like, seeking, okay, well, what do I do with all this now? And I had to really
Yeah,
work out, how to work with it.
exactly, right. I mean,
Hmm.
this is the magic, I guess, or the lesson of the Mars retrograde. You know, in the last 2 weeks of February, it was really that Mars is slowing down to station. And no matter how much we try to push to make something happen according to our plans, we just don't have that energy. And I know for a fact so many people are burnt out, have some health scare, have somebody to take care of. Like my dad had a panic attack. There are things like stuff like that is beyond understanding that we need to attend to, and really depends, where this shows up in our chart and how it shows up. But the fact that Mars is in Cancer is emotional, right? We talk about how there's a lot of water energy coming into this year, and it's gonna be more of that in March. And like you mentioned about how boundaries gets dissolved, how our sensitivity get heightened. And the
Hmm.
reason why it gets heightened is so that we can remember the interconnectedness between each other, that beyond what we see in terms of our color, in terms of our belief, in terms of our culture, in terms of like anything that separates us, that sensitivity is an opening of a consciousness to remember that we are all one and we're interdependent with one another. So we have to remember that, there's something bigger beyond us, an intelligence that knows how to take care of us. And the funny thing, in your situation is like there's nothing for you to do or make it work. It's just letting go,
Hmm.
and then
That's all I could do.
the wisdom around that will show when you let go.
Absolutely. It's interesting you say about your dad having a panic attack because there was a time where I took out this plastic. We had a Valentine's Day party at my work, and I took out this plastic table cover, and the fumes from it almost sent me to the hospital. The fumes, because it was so toxic. And I was like, holy crap. And that also made me think about all the times where, we're just in this toxic world and how to work with it. So it was, yeah, there were just so many moments like that. And there were other ones too that weren't maybe as intense as that, but there were definitely intensity of the month of February. So
100%.
yeah. So, okay. Well, so should we buckle up for March? Cause
Yeah, the intensity is not going away. It really depends on how well you learn certain lessons and how well are you integrating the energy. Because when you don't, then you're just unconscious and you're just going to a place of autopilot. It's
Mhm.
easy to just go into a place of fear, fight, and freeze with these energies and feeling overwhelmed or being, taken away by life. But the thing is that there's wisdom to all of this, and like the raging river, if you try to swim against it, at some point it's not that the river drowned you, it's that you swimming the opposite direction that drowned you.
Exactly.
That's what it's gonna feel like.
Exactly. So let's start. We always start with what's the key like concept or influencing energy of this month. So for March, it's the keyword of resolve, Resolve. And I have a dictionary, a little word of what it is. Resolve is to settle or find a solution to, such as a problem, dispute, or contentious matter, or also decide firmly on a course of action. And like a sentence is, she resolved to call Dana as soon as she got home. And the keywords for this coming month is form, commit, pure, intrepid, and present.
Mm.
Resolve. What does resolve mean to you, Chiron?
See, we all have a calling, right? And there's a quote that I share very often in my work, and it goes like this: if you have a heart, you have a purpose. If you have a purpose, you have a calling. Then if you have a calling, you have a desire desiring you,
Mm.
right? And the fact that we have a heart and we are here to live our life and we exist, that means the universe or life needs us. There's inherent value and worth in you, in us, that we don't know or we have not discovered yet, especially for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are someone who have discovered your desire or your calling, the resolve is to be more of you. And what I love about what's coming up is this integration, and for the lack of a better word, but also kind of synchronistic, is actually dissolving your old identity and resolve towards your soul's true nature is what's happening and what's going on. I think the energies is here to show us more layers of that, to really uncover those lies and remember a deeper truth that has been there all along.
Wow, interesting. Because as you're saying that, I not only resonate with that as far as personally, but I'm also feeling into like what's the collective energies around the world that right now is resolving, like you said, truths, resolving where things are at, resolving how to move forward in this realm that we're in, where it's constant change, right?
Constant change, constant
Mm-hmm.
evolution, and that is the only permanent thing in life. And we, as the subjects of life, has to adapt to it, not the other way around.
Right, exactly. So moving into the first part of the month, what's the one of the first big transits coming, or is it full moon, new moon?
New moon in the first, actually at the end of February 28 is the new moon, right?
Okay.
But the energy will definitely sprinkle through, not just sprinkle, it's a lot of energy going to 1st of March and
Mm-hmm.
the 2nd of March. So what we have a new moon in Pisces, and basically that is as well, you know, close enough to be the beginning of an eclipse, of a solar eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
We won't be able to see it, but we can definitely feel it, right? If not, in the late February, I'm sure so many of us have been feeling it, like what your story, my story, what we've been sharing, that things are getting out of control. And then what happens after that is, very interestingly, the next day on the 2nd of March, Venus goes retrograde in Aries. You're just like, oh, I'm gonna move forward. Now I'm gonna move back, right? And then at the same time, Mercury moves from Pisces to Aries. Now, what does that all mean? Now, usually new moon's a time where it's like starting from scratch. It almost as if like, okay, you know what? Let's regroup. Let's look at, what's our new direction. Because if we don't sit back, reflect about what our actions are producing, and we're just going, um, at some point we will feel like, wait a minute, I'm just going against myself. I don't really want this. And especially when Venus go retrograde, we could feel like, maybe partnerships and relationship is not the thing or the people or the path that we want, right? So that might be a misalignment there, and this is a great time to really hold yourself back a little bit from making quick decisions, and to review if the partnerships and relationships around our life is the actual dynamic that we want to have. And now with Mercury moving into Aries, we can be more upfront about our conversations. We can be more direct. I'll say, pay attention to how you communicate. And if a closure needs to happen, do it gracefully. And if not, maybe as well, good things can happen in a way that we can we can move as a relationship, we can move towards a new direction that's more exciting and more amazing. Because sometimes when we want something, we might fear that someone don't want the same thing as us, and we hold ourselves back from that conversation. And the funny thing is sometimes when you open up the conversation and then the other person go like, oh my God, I feel the same way too. Thanks for bringing it up. So sometimes we just need to take the
Mhm.
courage, and everybody is holding themselves back because they're afraid to trigger each other. But sometimes we just want the same thing and we don't even know that. But the risk is, what if it's not the same? And
Right.
then and that's fine, right? And it's okay to go separate ways. And but that's the thing, we're so afraid to bring up the truth and realign the values. And even if you're in the same relationship for such a long time, sometimes it's good to review those conversations. Like, hey, XY, back in the days you said you want this. Is it still coherent to you? Because we change all the time, we evolve all the time. We sometimes will want different things at different phases of our life. And the point here is to listen to the deeper truths. And in the new moon, when Pisces, the energy is really welcoming us to be like, what is the bigger picture in the grand scale of things? And the second question to that is like, the work that you're doing, yeah, you're building towards a beautiful dream, a great things, and you're hustling it down and you're consistent. But is it bringing you joy? Is there simplicity to the complex projects and dreams that we're creating? Because if you're not happy with it, at some point, that you're gonna self-sabotage because you're gonna hate it. And I've met a few people already telling me, hey, Chiron, I really love what I do, but I'm burning out. All right, let's look at it. It's a message. It's not like a problem to be fixed or to go back to business as usual. It's really like, what's going on? What's the message?
It's what I call, recently I said this, it's a coming to Jesus moment.
Coming to Jesus moment. Tell me
Yeah,
more.
that's like that. Have you ever heard that phrase before?
No.
Yes, coming to Jesus, meaning like, putting it all out in front of Jesus as a Christian, of course. And, and like exposing yourself, like, okay, it's a coming to Jesus moment. And obviously I'm not very Christian, but it's just one of those statements that, kind of
And
flies around occasionally.
I really like that you mentioned that, because if you don't expose it yourself, life is going to expose it for you. And when life does it for you, it's not really nice. It's like an abrupt and rude awakening in a way that's painful. And
Yeah.
truth hurts, but in the end of the day, it liberates us. So you might
Mhm.
as well proactively go towards it.
Right, exactly. And so for the first part of the month, the first to the third, we have what we call friendship energy.
Oh, interesting.
And this is a lighter energy. And I notice for myself, whenever this energy comes onto the planet, is that it it lightens up a lot of things. So it's really interesting you're talking about these really, and like a new moon and Venus going back to Aries is like, that's some big stuff. But it kind of gives a feeling of like a belonging, and also there's feelings of being appreciated, and really coming together with other people. But it's a real light energy, which is interesting
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to start the month with.
So usually there's like some keywords along with the main keyword of
Hmm.
resolve. What are those keywords actually for the month?
Yeah, the keyword is form,
Right.
FORM,
Right. You mentioned that.
commit, pure, intrepid, and present.
Yeah. So what came out for me is that when you say friendship energy is, it's the less lightness to it. But what I love about the word friends and the true
Mhm.
meaning of friends is that is the revelation of truth. You know, your friends are the most objective people in the world, or at least they should be. True friends, I'm talking about true friends,
Mhm.
and really true friends mirror back, each other's bullshit.
Mhm.
And because they're less emotionally attached to each other, it's easier to deliver those truths, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, in the close relationships, like in family, we are just so biologically connected to each other that sometimes we just trigger each other before we can even listen to the truth. So friendship is definitely that spirit of like, hey, you know what? I would like a clear mirror right now. So who can I talk to? Who can I be with? And sometimes to me, those are my mentors, right?
Mhm.
And there's this whole thing about in the whole personal growth industry, then to me it's like kind of weird when they say, no, I'm not your friend, I'm your mentor, and kind of thing,
Mhm.
right? And to me, I think mentors are your true friends. And I think what
Mhm.
they mean about that quote is that I'm not here to please you, which brings me to this understanding that our understanding of friendship is so skewed
Yeah.
in the world today,
Mhm.
and we are here to please each other, and I don't think that is serving anybody. So if we have friends, I think it's a time, to have an awareness on who are you hanging out with. Are they bringing the best out of you, or are they holding you back?
Absolutely. And I've noticed too lately that it's been also about the truths, like you're saying, like, can I really tell this person some deep things? Can I share with them what I'm really truly feeling inside? And that's, I guess, that thing about really resolving to the truth of friendships and relationships that we're into. And I know this right now is a big thing with not only, personal, but also like, your business and also in the people you socialize with. So it really kind of, hits all the different realms.
100%. Yeah.
hmm So after the new moon and after Venus goes retrograde into Aries, what is the next thing on the agenda for the month?
I mean, there's always agenda in a month in every single day, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the ones that is more strongly energetic.
hmm
And the next one that I see is on the 13th of March. There's a conjunction between the Sun and Saturn, right? Talking about
hmm
resolve, that energy is resolve. Number one, right? And
Yeah.
then number two, the next day on the 14th of March is when the lunar eclipse happens in
Mm.
Pisces and Virgo, and Saturn is a key player in this, which means it's so amazing that the word is resolved, because Saturn is what putting your foot down on something and saying this is like my boundaries, this is my standards, this is integrity, and I'm not I'm not gonna waver because this is how things work, right?
Mhm.
Saturn, if you can think about it, it's like, okay, guess what? This is the rule of the game, and this is how things are gonna go. And usually it's truth, right? But of course, with our man-made interpretation of the truth or attempt to interpret it, we come out with our own truth that is convenient to us, right? But in the
Mhm.
sign of Pisces, it's like, it's not up to you anymore. It's not your rules, right? It's natural law. It's
Right.
universal laws that is
Mhm.
actually governing everything. So for those of us who understand what those natural universal laws, if you know about it, it's time to apply it in your business. It's time to apply it in your relationship. It's time to apply it in every single thing that you do. Because if you're incoherent to that, or you're blind to that, then there will be blind spots that's going to be very costly and it's going to be painful. It's just what it is, because Saturn in Pisces is calling for a realignment to life, to nature. And this is why everything is so toxic. You mentioned toxicity, and I myself have that own experience, right? I have my eyes were like red for like 5 days, and then I couldn't sleep, and because of like toxic food I was eating during Valentine's Day
Mhm.
as well. And so no, it's a big calling for humanity, like, your company's policy, right? Your food business, everything. Is it coherent? Is it ethical on a higher level that it promotes life rather than consuming life for your own benefit and for your own profit, right? So
Yeah.
so businesses and you as a person, are you contributing to the circle of life, or are you just really consuming with your addictive behaviors? And this is where Saturn says, like, you know what? There's no time to baby you anymore. You either experience something like a health crisis, a relationship crisis, a money crisis. Again, it depends where your chart is and what this thing hits in your chart. But the point is that it's time to realign your actions, right? That you stop being a baby, stop seeking comfort and convenience as a way of life, because life is not about comfort or convenience. We are made to do hard things and adapt to life so that we can be more creative and we can evolve towards our greatest potential. Right. So this is the calling, and the moon in Virgo is telling us, you know what? Stop thinking and dreaming about life. Start to put those things down. First of all, in paper, plan and strategize. that up level your skills, develop your capabilities, and make it work. Because remember, you have a calling. There's a desire desiring you. And for those of us who have been putting the work down, this is amazing time because this is where manifestation happens. The Saturn is like, yep, I see you, you're recognized. It's time for you to be elevated. People come to you, you get known, and in Pisces energy, it's like you can be swept away by life so suddenly and so quickly. And on top of that, it's eclipse. There's a divine intervention coming in, and you might be elevated to a new position of leadership or a new position of recognition, so much that it becomes a new normal, and you don't have time to get ready for it. It's like, here comes the baby, and here's like, I'll deal with it.
Do you by any chance know what degree the Pisces, the moon's at?
24.
24. Okay, so this will be hitting my Pluto and my
Yeah, it's your midheaven and your
yeah,
IC, right? So
yeah.
I assume that there will be a lot of like work development going on for you, leadership development, business development that could bring you to the next level. And again, it really depends on the intentionality around things. That being said, watch out for your health, watch out for your daily life routines,
Mm-hmm.
and to check in with yourself. Do you even enjoy the work that you do? Because if you don't, then it's gonna like, despite the promotion, it's gonna be add-on burden.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right. Well, I'll just share with you what energies we'll be feeling those days. So the 10th through the 13th is direction energy. And that's an energy where you kind of focus on like what direction you're going, where you're going. And it's a time that you can like sense ahead at what's coming and where like the energy's flowing into. And then the 14th to the 16th is what we call orientation energy. Just like it sounds, new, getting the facts, knowing where you're going, a feeling of newness. So it's interesting that, the 13th and stepping into the 14th into orientation with that lunar eclipse, where what I hear you saying is that there's going to be a lot of opportunities to really amplify the things you might really desire and what you're really here to do.
Yeah, I mean, full moon is a feedback time, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
manifestation time. It's
Mm-hmm.
when the outcome shows, like, and it's your choice to have that discernment. And Virgo is discernment. Moon in Virgo is discernment. What shall I turn on so that I can have more of this, and what things need to go, right? We are so focused. Sometimes we want to build a dream or whatever. We're so focused on a desire and we think it's all about accumulation. But sometimes it's really all about removing things that is not coherent anymore, right? So that we don't have priorities anymore, but just have a priority. Because there's no such thing as a plural priorities. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a priority anymore. Just like you can't have more than one number ones. There's only one.
That's it.
Right?
One.
Yeah, and it's interesting that, on I forgot to mention as well on 15 March that Mercury is going backwards from Aries to Pisces. So it's Mercury retrograde season as well.
Holy crap.
And holy crap, right? You have the eclipse, you have retrograde Venus, you have retrograde Mercury, you have all these planets hanging out in Pisces. Guess what? There's a bigger plan. So this full moon, I'm glad that you say reorientation. I'm saying this again. It's not up to you. Your life is not up to you. Your life is not yours even. It's borrowed experience from the universe. And it's I think it's really harsh to say this, but by divine law, you are obliged to give back to life. Not that the universe will gonna make you, but if you don't do it, you're basically destroying yourself because your nature is to give life something. You're not here to consume life. It's your design
Right.
to figure out what's that authentic, unique gift inside of you to share. And if you don't, something is gonna happen and it's gonna wake you up. And so yeah, not forced, but you're obliged to.
Being of service, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your service? Wow. So after that, which is a pretty kick-ass middle of the month, what's the next on the agenda?
On 20th of March, we have a Sun conjunct Neptune in Pisces.
Holy crap.
That amplifies all the other themes that we have spoke about. But this is also a time of like a spiritual awakening and illumination of truth, perhaps. And sometimes it also show us where we are addicted, where we are blind. So, in Pisces, I'm gonna quote Maurice on this because he's my astrology mentor. And he
Mm-hmm.
says that Pisces is basically the end of hope and the beginning of truth. So, and truth is not something that is defined by anyone or anything. We can as far as we are human, we can attempt to define what that truth is. But truth is basically this feeling of like, oh my God, it just is. There's no other stories to it. There's no other evidence to prove it because truth needs no proving. And sometimes you can be the only one who knows your own truth and nobody can understand that. And yet you are called to go forward with that no matter what. So there's a lot of surrendering, a lot of trust, and that needs to happen. So I'll say that, this is why spiritual practices are needed, or at least any contemplative practices are needed. So you don't get lost in opinions, comments, judgments, criticism, praises, even of other people to guide your actions, but to connect to your heart that intrinsically know what that is for you and follow that no matter what.
The 17th to the 20th, we're back again in friendship energy.
Friendship with God now.
There you go. Friendship with God. I'm trying to think, March, is that when we have is that the change of season too? Or is it
The
April?
equinox, yes, it's March. On the
Holy crap.
22nd.
Is it 21st?
It's on the 21st, yeah. It's on the 21st. And I should mention as well, the conjunction with Neptune is at a critical degree of Pisces, is the 29th degree of Pisces. So I'm going to
Last
add
degree.
that there's going to be a lot of completion, a lot of endings, really. And the things that you think you want is supposed to be is going to just dissolve, right? So life is not going to show up the way you expect. It's going to show up the way it is. So the whole thing about radical acceptance and taking full responsibility rather than being a victim of the circumstances is how you move through it. To look at the gratitude in it, the wisdom in it. And I think there's a prayer in Christianity called the Serenity Prayer, right? Give me wisdom to change what I need to change. And I forgot the other word, or the grace to move through everything in
Something like that. Yeah.
gracefully, right?
Yeah.
So you change what you can, but the things that you can't, let go.
Seems like that's what the whole month's about, resolving to let go.
Yeah, and it's gonna be like a mini death and many rebirth moments for a lot of us. I
Mhm.
just had mine.
Mine's working. I'm
In
working on
February.
mine.
Yeah, I had mine in February.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels big and being out amongst the workforce again and out in the world, I'm really recognizing that a lot of people I'm seeing are going through things right now that are death and birth,
Yep.
especially death.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then moving on, 22nd March, another transit.
Okay.
Sun conjunct Venus in Aries on the 2nd degree of Aries. And that's huge. That's another big energy.
Wow. Yeah. That's not so back in, what was it, 2020 when Venus transited the sun. That's not the same type of thing, right?
Well, the Venus and Sun conjuncts in 5 different areas in the astrological chart, right? And this is called the Venus star point,
Right.
right? And it's a huge energy and activation because the Sun is about the heart, the Venus is about love, and right before that, Sun was touching Neptune. It's about unconditional love. So love can be soft, beautiful, and blissful, but at the same time, it is wrathful. It's fierce. It's like no bullshit. And this is where relationships fall apart and relationships come together. And I'll say that it's like a reshuffling of everything, and it's almost like we're gonna be washed over by huge energy so that the truth and the authentic expression of who we are can show up.
Wow. And the 21st and 22nd and 23rd is regrouping energy. And that's, to me, it's always, that's kind of an energy of like, really taking stock of where you're at and what's going on, what about, especially your experiences and the way that you might be moving through life. So that'll be an interesting time to have all of that going on during regrouping. Cause it's also a time when it's a lower, like action energy is a faster energy. This is a more slower energy. So it's really going inward.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that there's so much going on in the past week of eclipses and all these different activations that's happening, it's nice to have that regroup. And on the
Absolutely.
24th and then on the 24th of, March, right? Sun is going to conjunct Mercury in Aries. And Mercury rules our mind, and that can be an aha moment for all of us. Maybe a replanning based on the integration of the big experiences that we have in the 20th and the 21st to the 23rd. So what I'm saying is that, that we need time for contemplation in March. We need space and silence at the same time. Be ready to act, be ready to move. It's more of being receptivity energy. And what I mean by receptive, I'm not saying passive. I'm saying that you adapt, you improvise, you dance with life. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many of us have experienced, partner dancing and things like that. You're not in control, but at the same time, you are contributing to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a back and forth
Partnership.
energy. So it's dancing with life, is dancing with the universe, is a partnership. Because on the 27th of March, right, Venus is going to go back to Pisces, is going to conjunct Neptune at the 29 degrees of Pisces. We can feel the love and the grace through all that we have been through. It's perspective moment because like, oh, I know why the pain has to happen. I know why certain things need to leave. I know why I have to break down before I can have my breakthrough. Because at that time as well, Mars is going to square Chiron in Aries, right? And that square, the tight square, is also saying that it's healing time. Pick up your pieces. Don't cry over spilled milk, but let's see what you can do with the broken thing. Because essentially, our heart is meant to be broken so the light can enter so that we can remember the truth of who we are. And we can truly live the life of freedom that we call for. All of this experience is part of it.
It's the part of the recipe, right?
It's part of it.
Part of it.
Yeah.
Wow, what a month. And like I started with the conversation today saying that, to make sure you get your copy of the energy calendar, because this is what mine looks like at the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, that's what mine looks like at the end of every month. I've
Interesting.
got notes everywhere. And last month we were going through some big things around the 10th, and I'm like, look at this, Tom. And he's like, holy crap. So it's so good just to reflect back as some of these, key points of wisdom and insights that you give us and that are, on the calendar. So
Yeah.
wow, powerful month. So any
Can I
final
add one
words
more
on this
thing?
one?
Yeah, I
Yes,
do. I do.
absolutely,
Because the
absolutely.
new moon's on the 29th of March.
Oh no, new moon. Okay.
Sun, moon in
Oh,
Aries.
okay.
And this is an eclipse, by the way. A
Okay. Mhm.
partial solar eclipse. Again, I don't think it's that visible, but the effects of it is there. So we're entering a eclipse season. It's going to be about 6 to 8 weeks of energies that is just going to a major upheaval in all of our lives. So have loose plans, but have strong intentions. And basically towards the end of month of Aries of March, right? The sun, moon in Aries is like, okay, I'm ready to begin anew. Let's get things going, right? And I think it's gonna be a very powerful time moving forward by the end of March.
It feels like it's me, and so just I know always like to end too with a little snippet of what's April going to be like. So, oh man, hold on, you're not being recorded. Hold up. Damn. Okay. Let me. Well, unfortunately, I lost Chiron and didn't recognize it until the very next day when I went to have my editor process the video. So, and the audio. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I thank Chiron for coming on today. It's very challenging. The internet in Malaysia doesn't work as well as the internet in America. So, cheers to him coming on and sharing with us in the time he can have, and then the internet how it works. So we will just honor that that was the right place to stop, and that you got the insights and the wisdom and the energies of what's coming for March. So with that intact, I want to say thanks again for listening in. I want to also share that if you are interested in gathering some more insights for yourself astrologically, or how to move forward as a heart-centered leader in this world, please check out the link below for chironyeng.com. I'll have the link for Chiron. He's got some wonderful master classes that are free. He's got some events that you can attend, and he is, I can attest, a dynamic soul because I've also worked with him for the last couple of years. So with all of that, again, thank you for wherever you're at in the world, whatever you're doing, moving into March. I hope that you have a fabulous month. Looking forward to sharing more of what's coming in the next few months with Chiron back, I'm sure, again. And until then, just remember that life is too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey. To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.